There we are, we're there, we're finally at the end of 2022, and what a year it's been. Yes, 2022 has come and gone, would you believe? A year that I think is going to go down in history. But it started off really slow, with not much to note of in January, except for some West Ham footballer caught practicing on his cat. And then, if you remember, the Duke of York scrambling around to try to find some money to pay off his bills, I think is the right term. Things started heating up a little bit at the end of February when Russia invaded Ukraine. And if you remember, Will Smith added to the excitement at that time when he got on stage to greet Chris Rock, which I thought was fairly funny. In May, for the first time for many, many years, we won the Eurovision Song Contest. Although we didn't actually win because of the war, but we did really. I'm taking it as a win. It's the closest we're going to get for some time. But this is how I started my year, but the videos didn't miss a beat. In fact, during the year, I managed to publish around about 70 videos for the channel, plus another 45 as Patreon-only videos. So this, as the second year of the channel's life, has definitely been the busiest so far. During the last 12 months, my subscribers have grown from 88,000 to 184,000, just under 100,000 in the year. And the channel's had over 10 million views, which is really nice to see it being well received and regularly watched. So sit back and have a quick look at some of the things I got up to early in 2022.
I caught you cheating. You had the nerve to say you're sleeping, just not with her, but tell your friends that I'll be lost without you. And I'll admit it, sometimes I miss when we were in it. So I made a list so I never forget all the things I hate about you. 10, you're selfish. 9, you're jaded. 8, the dumbest guy I've dated. 7, talk a big game till you're naked. Only 6 seconds and I had to fake it. 5, you're toxic. 4, can't trust you. 3, you still got mommy issues. 2 years of your bullshit I can't undo. 1, I hate the fact that you made me love you.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So I hope you enjoyed it. Now the rotation of the blade, if I undo this, you can... So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please check it out.
Obsessed with this jewel, keep buying bottles with your daddy's money. And I don't know how I fell for your shit. You gross me out. Now I've got the ick and I've got a list of why you don't get to fuck me. 10, you're selfish. 9, you're jaded. 8, the dumbest guy I've dated. 7, talk a big game till you're naked. Only 6 seconds and I had to fake it. 5, you're toxic. 4, can't trust you. 3, you still got mommy issues. 2 years of your bullshit I can't undo. 1, I hate the fact that you made me love you. You made me love you. You made me love you. How'd you make me love you? And I'll admit it, sometimes I miss when we were in it. So I made a list, yeah. 10 things I hate about you. 10, you're selfish. 9, you're jaded. 8, the dumbest guy I've dated. 7, talk a big game till you're naked. Only 6 seconds and I had to fake it. 5, you're toxic. 4, can't trust you. 3, you still got mommy issues. 2 years of your bullshit I can't undo. 1, I hate the fact that you made me love you.
Before we knew it, the weather was getting better and we went from spring straight into summer. I must say, I really enjoyed that summer period. And if you were watching the channel at the time, you would remember that for me, it was a fairly busy time. At that point, I was producing 2 videos a week, one of which was my garden series, where I focused in on projects around the garden and in my newly acquired paddock area. I remember getting a couple of comments at the time asking me whether the channel has now turned into a gardening channel, which obviously it hadn't. At the same time, I did get literally hundreds of comments of support for the additional material, which was really nice to see. And at the same time, I don't think it's that surprising because DIYers like to do projects outside as well as in during the summer. And I just hope that some of the things I did around the garden gave people ideas and inspiration, whether they carried them out this year or they're saving projects for 2023. During all of this time, more and more people signed up to become a patron of the channel after I started it on the 1st of January, just 6 months before. And I just settled in to producing a weekly additional video for them each weekend, which I still really enjoy. And I'd just like to thank all of my patrons for their support and feedback during 2022. If you remember, in June, with the good weather, the country all got together to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And we had an extra day of bank holiday, which meant that we had suddenly 4 days in a row that had parties all around the country, and finishing with a visit from Paddington Bear and a spectacular concert in front of the Victoria Monument, which I thought was well produced and very fitting. So while I go and make myself a marmalade sandwich, sit back and have a look at some of the best bits from the summer.
But she moves like lightning, and she counts to 3. And she turns out all the lights and says she's coming for me. Now put your hands up, this is a heist. And there's no one in here living gonna make it out alive. Load it up when the sun comes down, getaway car for 2 young lovers. Me and the girl straight out of town, over the hills and undercover, undercover, undercover. She said, green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die. Green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die. We go together, Adam and Eve. But the girl is so much more than just another apple thief. Yeah, she's a genius. Watch and learn. She sets the world on fire just to watch the sucker burn. Load it up when the sun comes down, getaway car for 2 young lovers. Me and the girl straight out of town, over the hills and undercover, undercover, undercover. She said, green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die. Green, green grass, blue, blue sky. Better throw a party on the day that I die. Throw a party, yeah. Throw a party on the day that I die. Throw a party, babe. Throw a party on the day that I die. Load it up when the sun comes down, getaway car for 2 young lovers. Me and the girl straight out of town, over the hills and undercover, undercover, undercover. She said, green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die. Green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die. Green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die. Green, green grass, blue, blue sky. You better throw a party on the day that I die.
After the stunning weather and the upbeat vibe of the summer, I suppose we couldn't expect things to continue so positively, and they didn't. But little did we all know what we're in for the last third of the year. Just after my garden series wrapped in late August, in early September, Liz Truss somehow managed to be voted in as the leader of the Conservative Party and took on the role of Prime Minister. And very quickly, the positive nature of the summer was just a distant memory. Only days after we got this new Prime Minister, we also all found out that the Queen had sadly passed away, and the country then went into the biggest state of mourning we've ever seen in living memory. But after the funeral, in fact just 3 days after the funeral, we were then presented with something very small that would have a massive effect. And when I say small, I mean really, really small. In fact, it was so small, it was called mini, just a very, very small mini budget, just to get everyone refocused on politics again. We then went through weeks of complete chaos while we watched interest rates increase rapidly, fuel costs go out of control, and if you remember, everyone played the Who's Prime Minister This Week game. This led on to the threat of strikes from teachers and nurses and everyone else, and even a World Cup, and a Member of Parliament eating strange things in the jungle couldn't lift our mood. But somehow we managed to get through to our safe place. Yes, Christmas, something that's a constant, unchanging, something we all understand the rules of and is not connected in any way to politics. So at this time of year, it's important to spare thought for those who are suffering the most, those that can't find the money to pay the heating bills, like young families and the elderly, those that can't find it near impossible to make ends meet, like nurses and teachers, and those that are suffering major mental health issues, like Harry and Meghan. Anyway, during all of this time, we at Proper DIY have been continuing to try to help the public with videos of tips and tricks and how to do things for yourself and save money. And even after the Christmas armistice, when all the craziness will no doubt start up again in the next few days, we will still be here for you, educating, entertaining, and hopefully giving people the confidence to give it a go and save some money in the meantime. So thank you all for your viewership and continued support throughout the last 12 months, without which we wouldn't be able to continue. And I'm sure all the projects and plans that are already going on in the background that will come into your screens soon will help you over the next 12 months and hopefully make things a little bit easier and bearable. So sit back and enjoy the last 3 minutes of this year's footage, and please have a very, very happy new year and all the best for 2023. Thank you so much.
If I was an astronaut, I'd be floating in midair, and a broken heart would just belong to someone else down there. I would be the center of my lonely universe, but I'm only human, and I'm crashing down to earth. If I was an astronaut, I'd have a bird's eye view. I'd circle around the world and keep on coming back to you. In my floating castle, I'd rub shoulders with the stars, but I'm only human, and I'm drifting in the dark. I'm up in space now. Space, man, and I wanna go home. If I was an astronaut, I'd speak to satellites. My navigation systems would search for other life, but I'd be up and thinking about what I left behind, 'cause I'm only human with the real world. Space, man, and I wanna go home. spaceman. No, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Nothing but nothing but nothing but space. Nothing but nothing but nothing but space. I've searched around the universe, been down some black holes. Nothing but space, man. And I wanna go home.